Here we go. We're live. Let's
Oh,
go,
we're live?
Catalini. Yeah, let's go.
Do it.
Well, yes. Hello, Melrosians the world over. I'm Tom Catalini.
I'm Jen LeClaire.
And I'm Cindy Tervalon.
And
Hey,
this is Let's Talk Melrose. Melrose, a show where Melrosians talk to Melrosians about Melrose, and we have a fantastic Melrosian joining us as a co-host this evening. Welcome aboard, Cindy Tervalon, Melrose resident, mom, and just citizen extraordinaire. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, so people of the LTMM community, you could be a co-host too, or you could nominate somebody to be a co-host. Go to letstalkmelrose.com. The last Melrose is left off for savings. And click a button on the front page, and you could fill out a little form. It's quick and easy, and then you get yourself on TV or whatever this is.
Yeah, and join the conversation. This was inspired by what people are, what service, but what people are talking about on their hanging out on the porch. That's the idea. We're just talking about what's going on around town, and anybody is welcome to share their ideas and share their opinions, right?
Jen,
Let us know what.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask you for the rundown. What are we talking about tonight? But you were going to say something more important.
I was going to say something. No, not more important, but I was going to say also to the already fans, we always like to also say to let us know where you're tuning in from, what street. Participate in the conversation virtually by throwing something in the comments, and we'll try to respond if we can see it on time as we're chatting right now. It's really no different than back when we were in the studio and we didn't know how to answer the phone. It's kind of still like that, but we do our best.
We've digitized the process of not being able to respond.
Right, exactly. So this week we're super psyched to have Cindy joining us. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're talking about a whole bunch of things in the news this week. We're cleaning up Melrose. We're getting to net zero. We're wayfinding and finding our way. There's public art. We're talking about ranked choice voting as the second ballot question on the Massachusetts ballots this election cycle. And we're talking to Cindy a little bit also about online and sort of different school options that are part of the Melrose public school system. Not something separate, but kind of like what Melrose has, what we have to offer here. So that's kind of a rundown. You know what that means, Cindy?
I think that means the sports or news. 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 Don't put me on the spot.
News, and the first segment of news this week is
The balls on the field go bounce, bounce, bounce. Let's play with the balls together.
Now I'm going to toss it to our co-host, Cindy. I'm going to toss it over to Sports Ball with Jen LeClaire. Jen, what's the update on sports this week?
Right, being the expert that I am. So Melrose has a huge, we just keep getting more and more and more famous around here. Melrose is the place to be. And this week it's because former Melrose High School basketball star Shea Petty, who is already amazing because she's already in the WNBA, in a game against the Phoenix Mercury, hit a three-pointer at the buzzer to help lead them to a 1-point victory over the Washington Mystics in what you're telling me is a first round winner takes all playoff game. I don't know what that means, but it sounds amazing.
It's good.
It sounds good. So Shea Petty, she is from Roxbury and played at MHS as a student from 2004 to 2007. And she left at that time as the school's all-time leading scorer for girls or boys. So congrats, Shea Petty, way to bring it home for your team and for Melrose. That's pretty cool, and it made the news around. Do we know if she's still the all-time leading scorer? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, since I was getting some crib notes from Karaji on that, I'm going to assume that it's very well researched and thoughtful, and the way that that sentence is phrased, that we now are saying that we plagiarized, is probably accurate. And I would say that that still holds. At the time she left, she was, but I
Yeah.
don't know. She
Oh,
was an amazing
2007.
player.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
She was an amazing player, and fun to watch. And it's great to see the student athletes go on
Thanks.
to some bigger success. She's kind of cleaning up out there in the same
Yeah.
way that the city may or may not be cleaning up. Cindy, did you hear about the street sweeper thing, Cindy?
A little bit, but why don't you tell us more about it?
So what happened was it went to the city council. The DPW wanted to buy a new street sweeper. I guess the last one.
I
the
guess we gotta all go out with brooms now. I'm here,
Well,
I think.
the brakes went out
Right?
the brakes went out and it slid down a hill or something. And they were like, all right, this one's all done. But it's how much, what do you think a new street sweeper goes for, Cindy? Like 30, 40? What do you think?
Oh, it's got to be $100,000.
Yeah, $243,000. So it's real money.
Yeah.
Maybe it's worth it because we are required as a city to do street sweeping twice a year. Once a year, they contract it out, but they like to have one on hand. A lot of money gets swept away in the
Preferably one with
pandemic.
brakes.
Yeah.
Preferably.
But I guess this went to the city council and it did not pass. So a lot
Yeah.
of these things you sort of expect to be kind of rubber stamped a lot of the times. This one got some pushback and lost by like one vote. I guess they had to go. And I actually, when I read about this, agree with the decision because they were needing to go into the city's stabilization fund, which has something like 600 grand in it. And to take, 243,000 out of that for a street sweeper when you can contract the service, I kind of wait and see how the next, fiscal year shapes up before I committed to that myself.
Yeah.
Or buy a used one. Apparently, the one that with the brakes that went out.
Maybe we could find one on Buy Nothing.
Oh my goodness! Let's connect the dots.
Yeah.
We'll put an ask.
We're
You know
gonna
what?
put an ask out
could put
there.
it. We could put an ask out
We're
there.
gonna do that. We're gonna ask the community for a street sweeper and see what we come
If
up with.
anybody's got a $250,000 street sweeper there,
Well,
all done.
That they're not using anymore.
Or what? Or even better, what about someone who knows how to repair the brakes on it? Gives
Oh,
them
there
a
you go.
job
Yeah.
to fix the brakes on it.
I don't
There you
know.
go.
I don't know. We'll
Build the
see.
economy.
We'll see.
And what else going on in the city, Jen? I think you had an update about
Yeah,
net
there
zero.
were a couple things I heard about. So there's a survey out there. We'll put a link up there. So the city wants to know what you think about and how you think we'll get to our goal. It's in our city plan of net zero carbon emissions by 2050. So it's a climate change and environmental issue. This is something that's in partnership with MAPC, the Metropolitan Planning Board. So there's a survey out there. You can give your opinions and figure out how we're gonna sort of do our part in the climate change initiatives here in Melrose. There's also kind of a smaller thing that you can do, small but not small, honestly, really. There's a community-wide cleanup. Now this is Keep Melrose Beautiful does this every Earth Day, but there's another one coming up on Saturday, October 3rd from 9 a.m. to noon. So Keep Melrose Beautiful in partnership with Zero Waste Melrose, El Pond Improvement Council, and Melrose Solid Waste and Recycling. So if you want to get out there and help kind of clean up.
Can I just
do
share
that.
briefly
Yeah, I
that
just
one
saw
of our,
this.
our
Yeah.
production team has already found
They're
a
so
street
amazing.
sweeper
There we
for
go.
$8,500.
There we go.
Free local pickup.
We solve problems here at Let's Talk
Leave it
Melrose.
to Let's Talk Melrose to solve a real problem. I love it.
We
get there.
gotta
We
tell
might-
the mayor to get on this because there's 5 people watching it. It's so
Watching
Well,
it
our
already.
research
Yeah.
team, our research team is second to none. So,
Totally.
but yeah, so cleaning up. Did you talk about the community cleanup?
I did, yeah. So check out Keep Melrose Beautiful. They have a Facebook page, and you can sign up as a volunteer if you want to go out. Hopefully, it's a nice day and just spend a couple of hours helping tidy up Melrose until we get the street sweeper.
Can I also
Yeah.
put in a plug here too?
Yeah.
Yes.
As a segue, that there's also a bottle and can drive going on this weekend on Saturday from 8:30 to 11:30 at the high school for the marching band.
Oh,
We're
great.
taking bottles and cans and drop them off, and then it not only will help clean up the city, but it'll also help the marching band. So
Help them do what, Cindy? We talked about this. This was the
Oh,
win of the
yes.
week last week.
the win of the week,
This
they're
is the-
going. They're going in 2021, hopefully, if COVID will be over and in our rearview mirror, but they're going to Pearl Harbor for the 80th anniversary. So they'll be playing there.
That's
So
super cool.
That's amazing.
big deal, big invitation, and well deserved. Those kids work really hard.
Yeah.
And Mr. Rapucci does a great job. And their first practice was tonight, actually. They're out on the fields. So yeah, it's exciting. So
Awesome. So we can,
big bottles and cans, don't
clean up and recycle. Yeah.
clean up. Yep.
Awesome. That's hard work too, doing those bottle and can drives. We did that once for DI, and it's a lot of work.
It's fun. That's a fun way for everybody to participate. Bring a big sack down there and drop it off. Couple other quick notes before we move on from the news, but in the cleanup category, the city and the Follow Your Arts Placemaking and Wayfinding Initiative has awarded to 9 artists have been selected for various installations, including multiple utility box and other murals, a mosaic installation, a sculpture, and even a walking poetry installation at El Pond. So all kinds of new stuff coming, coming along. And then the other thing we wanted to, in the announcement category, we wanted to get out there is MAV, the Melrose Alliance Against Violence, will celebrate its 25th anniversary this fall. A great organization. And they're planning a whole series of virtual and socially distanced events. We'll talk about them more as they come forward, but we just want to get the word out there early. Go to their Facebook page and follow. They're going to be putting up a lot of stuff about their history. They are holding their candlelight vigil in October, which will be streamed on social media and MMTV. The annual walk, which is going to be one of these things that's worked really well for like the Boston Marathon and the Pan Mass Challenge, where you do like a virtual walk. Individually on your own over a weekend, October 24th and 25th. And it has like a treasure hunt feature.
That's
so you go,
brilliant.
Yeah, you go to MAAV.org and you register and you'll get the information, and then they'll know who's participating and they'll keep it organized. And there's also a domestic violence awareness bracelets available. Beacon Hill Wine and Gourmet, Halo Studio, and Mitre Biter Frame. So we'll talk about this more, I think, as we get closer to October. But like their page and follow along.
It's a great organization. I'd be happy to help in any event and to be involved. But you totally hook, line, and sinker with treasure hunt for me. I'm in.
Nice.
Totally.
Nice.
Sounds fun. That's awesome.
Okay, so we wanted to move on to, we had talked about this thing that a lot of people got in the mail last week, the voter information. And last week we talked about the right to repair, question 1 on the ballot. This week we're going to talk about question 2 on the ballot, which is ranked choice voting. And you can vote. So you can vote to leave. No would leave the system the way it is. Yes would introduce what they call ranked choice voting. So instead of just picking one person for an office that you're voting for, you would rank them in order. So what does that mean? How does that work? We thought we would bring you some LTMM research to help explain this. And we thought, what better way to convey this than we were planning an LTMM movie night. And we're thinking about doing an 80s movie. Can you guys see the screen?
We can.
Yep, I can see it.
You can see the screen. Okay. I got a very complicated setup here.
Yes.
All the technology going.
Right.
So we thought if the LTMM crew, and I don't mean just like the on-air personalities, the production team, I mean like, the catering department, human resources, facilities, physical therapy department, counseling, just all of the departments getting together, research.
Foley artists.
Yes.
Hair and makeup.
Hair and makeup. Yeah.
Hair and makeup. Right.
Wardrobe. Yeah.
Wardrobe.
It's a big team.
So if we wanted to do sort of that company outing kind of thing, and we wanted 80s movie night, that sounds good. Okay, we've got 5 choices. So here are the classics, right? Pretty in Pink, Back to the Future, Top Gun, Caddyshack, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So here's the 5 that Jen had in her vault at home. And let's say we wanted to vote.
You're
so
not
what
too
we
far off, actually.
Right. What we would do is, so let's say we put the movies down the left-hand column. You can see each of those 5 movies, and across the top, if you can see the representation of the 25 members of the LTMM team. Right.
Yep.
So you can imagine if we each got to vote for one movie, we would each make our selections and you would tally them up in an unsurprising way, right? So Pretty in Pink comes out at 3 and Back to the Future gets 5. So you can see the totals here, 3, 5, 4, 7, 6. So the winner in this case is Caddyshack.
Yeah.
It got the most votes. However, you know, a lot of people voted for a lot of other things. So it doesn't really
right. It's really not the majority. It only won by 1 vote against Ferris. So,
Yes.
and yeah,
a close race. And
yeah,
Jen, what you just said is absolutely the key to ranked choice voting. It is not the majority, right?
Mhm.
So what if instead we each got to choose and rank these from 1 to 5? You would then fill in the rest of these squares, something like this. So you can see person 1 ranks them, you know, 4, 1, 5, 2, 3, and so
Yep.
forth. And if you added up all the ones, the tally comes out exactly the same, right? 3, 5, 4, 7. But that's not how ranked choice voting works. What you do in ranked choice voting is somebody has to get, the winner has to get greater than 50% of the votes. And so we got 25 people on staff, so you're going to have to get 12 and a half, or if I would round up to 13 in this case.
Good idea.
See, so what we would do is we would actually eliminate the lowest vote getter is eliminated, right? So Pretty in Pink only got 3
Sorry,
votes.
Molly Ringwald.
It's out.
Okay.
Yes. Sad to see that go. I do like that movie, but
Yeah.
so you can see those first choice votes now, instead of that person no longer participating in the voting process, we go to their second choice, right? So those 3 votes transfer to 2 of them go to Back to the Future, 1 go to Ferris Bueller. And so that person has some input into that, and we tally them again. Now we have 3 tied for first place. None are over 50%, but doesn't matter. The tied for first place because none have 50%. We're going to go and eliminate the bottom choice again. So this time, Top Gun is going to lose if the technology cooperates with me here. Oh God, now I don't know how to go back. So Top Gun loses, and we shift those number 1 votes to their number 2 choices, right? And we end up with Back to the Future having 9 votes, Caddyshack having 9 votes, Ferris having 7. So again, we're going to eliminate Ferris as the bottom vote taker. And what you can see here happening that I think is really interesting is not only do the folks that voted 1 for Ferris go to number 2, but in some of these cases, the number 2 choice has already been eliminated. So we count their number 3 choice, right? And we tally them up. And then in the end, you have Back to the Future winning over Caddyshack 13 to 12. And what happens in this scenario is by using the ranked choice weighting, this is everybody's, the one that wins is everybody's, in this example, first, second, or third choice. It's nobody's 4th choice. It's nobody's 5th choice. Unlike when Caddyshack had one, if we took that black line away, you would see there's a number of 4s and 5s in there. So the argument for ranked choice voting is this is a more balanced representation, and your voice isn't eliminated. If you vote for a candidate who's in last place, you're not just sort of no longer participating in the rest of the tallies. And in order for there to be a declared a winner, they have to cross that 50% threshold.
That was really fascinating. That was really helpful, Tom Catalini.
So what we decided
Let's play this out.
Yeah, let's play this out. So that's the mechanics of ranked choice voting. And we thought once the pandemic's done, or if we can arrange a facility large enough for social distancing, we would invite the entire LTMM community worldwide. So the producers right now are posting a link to a Google form where you can do your own ranked choice voting on these 5 movies. And we will send it down to the research team, the data analytics team, to do the calculations by next week so that we can see what the LTMM community would select of these 5 movies for.
They're standing by.
For us, we are standing by. Maybe I would kick that up a notch and say maybe if enough of Melrose participates, we can play this someplace that everybody can see when the time is right and it's safe. Let's go all the way. Let's see what Melrose wants to watch. I don't know
Yes.
where, but
Yes. And well, when I say LTMM community, that includes every
oh,
single
everybody.
person in Melrose and everybody else who's interested in Melrose
And
worldwide.
and Melrose, Scotland, they'll all
And
fly
Melrose,
over.
Scotland,
Yeah, of
and
course. Yeah,
Melrose, South
our friends from
Africa.
abroad will come to watch the results. Okay, this
So
sounds
that's the
great.
mechanic. So on question 2, if you vote yes for that, that's what you're voting for.
I
That
like it.
more balancing. I do like it after digging into this and running through some examples. I'm totally in favor of it. It applies to all statewide offices, all state legislature offices, and primary and general elections. And we'll follow up and share more details on that in future episodes. And maybe we'll even get that guy Casella to come in and talk a little
Oh yeah,
politics.
the data guy. Get our
with us
data
on
guy
this.
back in here.
Oh, he loves this stuff. He loves the adding and subtracting. He's probably dividing and multiplying for all
He
we
probably
know.
knows how to do the new long division. I'm just saying.
Right. Oh, that thing with your fingers, or is that
I don't
already
know.
the old one? I don't know. All right, we have to move it along and get to our featured discussion with Cindy Tervalon.
Yeah.
Hey.
To talk about schools in Melrose. So we had a little we know Cindy and we love Cindy, but we had a little pre-meeting and we got into this discussion, and my goodness, wasn't it fascinating to learn what you have learned. We're all going through a different experience here in the city of Melrose, and the school committee, we followed it, covered it closely on the show here, all the decisions about going back to school and the hybrid model and all of that. And that has caused a number of decisions. We talked about that here, some people making other choices. And Cindy, you did some research into online schools that were, as you explained it to me, still in the Melrose School District. So I was just wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing with us and the viewers just kind of a quick overview of that, just to get us situated. And then we'd love to dig into some more details.
Yeah, I think that as most people in Melrose are aware that we have what's called school choice. And most people think about that only in terms of our
I was not aware of that. Wow.
Well, I think you did though, right? When your kids started kindergarten,
Yeah.
you had to choose between the Roosevelt or the Lincoln. And of course you chose the Lincoln because you could probably throw a baseball.
Right, 3 doors down.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But, for some families, when they're halfway between 2 schools, they have to make a decision, or if there's a particular teacher they want, or if they have a kid with special needs, they might choose one over the other. But most people sort of stop thinking about school choice after they make that decision, because for the most part, our kids filter into the middle school and then on to the high school. But there is then more choices other than that. For example, some kids like to go to tech school. So we have the opportunity for our kids to go to tech school versus the high school. But we also have 2 virtual schools that have been around for a long time. One of them was there's 2 actual virtual schools that are part of our school choice. They have been for 20 years. One of them actually has a home base in Greenfield, Mass. It's called I'm going to make sure I get it right. It's called the Greenfield Commonwealth Virtual School. And the other is called the Tech Connections Academy, or TECA. And they, like I said, the Greenfield School actually has a building in Greenfield, Mass, but all of the classes and all of the students are virtual. And TECA is actually a national program that was established and then has superintendents, pretty much like we have, but has like a leader for each state to make sure that all of the state regulations are followed. And so these schools have been online, like I said, for 15, 20 years. They already know what it's like to teach.
Can I ask, Cindy, how did you even find out about this? Because my kids are almost done. My youngest is senior in high school, so we're almost done with the system, and I never heard of this. And she's actually taking Edgenuity classes, which are half online, which was a total revelation to me a couple of years ago. How did you find out about these other resources that you say have been around for so long?
And can I just add to that? My follow-up question was going to be, how is what you found different than the Edgenuity? Am I saying it right?
Edgenuity, yep.
How are they different?
Sure.
Also.
So 2 things. So the first question, how I found out about it, was twofold. One is that these schools were designed years ago for a number of different scenarios, right? So they can be for kids who are star athletes who want to focus on their art or their, or are dancers or actors or lacrosse players who need to be able to practice during or travel for their meets, or for kids who have really bad health issues who need to be in a hospital for a lot of time. So a traditional brick and mortar school, regular classroom schedule doesn't work for them. And so because I have a daughter who's now in college who is pursuing the arts, this was an opportunity. I had looked into these options for her. So it turned out that we didn't use it, but we went a different direction, but I had sort of looked at them briefly for her then. And then when the pandemic hit back a while ago, a friend of mine mentioned them again, and I did some additional research back in April. So that's how I found them initially. And how they're different from Edgenuity is that Edgenuity is a program that is very similar in how the teaching is taught, but it's not an all-encompassing program. It's not a whole school. It's a supplemental program that the Melrose Public Schools is using.
Yeah, and that's the way my daughter's using it. She's taking 3 classes there, and that's what she did last
Okay.
year. That's what she's doing this year. She still
Yeah.
goes into the building for some classes. She plays on the tennis team at Melrose High, all of that kind of stuff.
Right. And the school this year without like I know, Tom, you had looked into that and explored that option for her this year with the pandemic and with the remote and hybrid models, what they're calling the Melrose Distance Learning Academy. My daughter was I think that they're doing a lot of the language courses through that. My daughter was automatically enrolled in that program for her language courses. So
exactly.
so like you said, it can be just a few classes or whatever. So
Exactly. Yeah. And so these are just other options that I think a lot of people don't even realize are available for them.
We're a Melrose news program, and we didn't know we didn't know about that.
I don't
When
know
we're
that I
all
would call
parents
us a
of
Melrose news program, but anyway, newsy.
It's really interesting because both schools are K through 12 programs. They have teachers that are accredited and certified in Massachusetts. They have support systems. They support, special ed programs, IEPs, the whole spectrum. So they're nice opportunities.
Now,
Things to look into.
Is there that it does sound great, especially in the current environment, for folks who would say what, I really need my kid to be in school and to be around other kids. Like, what kind of community do they offer, or did you have any questions or concerns about kind of socialization for your student?
Well, so Theo, I have just to give a little background, I have a 9th grader. So he's a freshman in high school. Yeah, exactly.
They're peers.
They're peers in high school. And he's actually doing the Tech Academy this year. So Tech Academy this year. And one of the reasons why we chose to do that versus the Melrose Distance Learning was because it just was taking such a long time for Melrose to make their decisions and move forward. And Theo's a high anxiety kid. We needed a program. He needed to know what was going to be happening. And so a school that has been doing this for a long time and had a set program, he knew what his classes were going to be. He knew what his teachers were going to be. He already knew who the kids were going to be in his class because he got a list of them and their email addresses so that they could communicate with one another. That made a big difference. So the school is used to the kids being all remote. So they do a really good job of promoting online community. The teachers reach out. They're available via text and phone from 8:30 to 3:30. All day, every day, Monday through Friday. So the teachers are available in that way. They also have an online place, like office hours, where they can just pop into a virtual classroom to meet with their teacher at any time. So, or during their office hours. So that's available for them. So that's also another place where the students can come together and talk And
then he also still is like, he's in the band, like he's also still able to participate in all the Melrose, because it's part of the school system, all the other extracurricular stuff. He's in the band, he could play sport or whatever, right? Yeah.
exactly. It's not a private school. It's part of
Right.
the school system. So
Right.
yes,
Right.
he's still able to do that.
That's cool.
Yeah,
it's
it's really
so
great.
it's a school in the Melrose School District. Is that
Mhm.
It's
true?
a school in the Massachusetts school system, and
Okay.
all Massachusetts students can attend. So, for example, there is, I don't know how many families in Melrose are in TECA, but I do know of one other family for sure. And they also have a ninth grader, and she's in 2 of Theo's classes. So that's great. And they are both in honors biology together. And so they just had a DNA exam last week. And so they were able to study together virtually, which was kind of great. And they're both here in Melrose. So, but the other kids in Theo's bio and this other girl's class are from all over Massachusetts. So
Cool.
So are there community building student to student? You talked a lot about the teachers being in contact, which sounds great. Is there any student to student, they get their email addresses, or is there any sort of like organized, structured thing that cultivates
well,
that?
there used to be a ton of stuff before COVID. They would do outings.
Oh, I wasn't even
Like I was
thinking in person.
I was gonna ask if they do like meet and greets or anything
Yeah,
in
and all kinds of
person.
meet and greets. So
Yeah.
that's really obviously scaled down.
Yeah.
But what they do have is
But
they
that's
have
no different than, I mean, we can't do that now. So
exactly.
you're not
But
losing anything.
what they are doing is they have this great, so from 8:30 to 3:30, all of the teachers are really available. They're online, you can call them, you can text them, you can hop onto their virtual classroom and so forth if they're not actually in their classroom teaching. But then after that, from 4 to 10:30, they have what they call peer-to-peer tutoring or peer-to-peer learning. And kids can sign up to, can say, hey, I'm in algebra and I'm going to open up a classroom or a meeting room. Why don't we get together and study or work on algebra together? Or an upperclassman can say, hey, I aced algebra. I'm willing to tutor if you need help. And the kids can then all get together. So and because it's a virtual school, the technology is pretty robust. So the kids have a lot of videos that they can watch and a lot of lesson plans in the first week or so to learn how to use the technology. That's really great. So it's pretty quick and easy to get onto these Zoom, pretty much like the Zoom calls like we're doing right now. So that they talk and see each other and help each other out.
Cool.
So that sounds just like a great option, and we're in the pandemic, and it sounds like they've been muted a little bit in terms of their in-person community. But it sounds like what you described is a great option, just given the anxiety about the school year and working with an organization that's a little bit more practiced at this. Is something you think you would stick with? If the pandemic ends next fall and everything's back to normal, or do you have any sense of pros, cons, or how you think about that decision?
About this a little bit the other day. I think that there's some great pros and there's obviously some cons as well. I think for pros, I think that this is because their main focus is virtual. The teachers are well trained. They have figured out the technology. They know how to teach online. And that is great. That's great. I think academically it's really robust. And they have a lot of supports in place to help students become really independent online learners, which is terrific. So I do feel like Theo is going to get a really good academic year under his belt, and he's going to learn a lot, and that feels really good. So those are great pros. The cons are that these are the kids in his class are from all over Massachusetts, and so they're not part of his immediate community, right?
Hard to get a kickball game together.
Yeah, and so I would say once the pandemic is over and it's safe to get back together, I would hope he would go back to Melrose High School, be with his friends, be a part of the community here, be back in marching band, supporting the football team on the field versus, virtually out there on a Tuesday with their masks on. And, so that would be my hope.
Well, thank you for
good to
sharing
hear.
all
Yeah,
that.
thank you. That was awesome. And that's so good to hear because, we know, I mean, Melrose is a great district. I mean,
It is.
we're in this situation like everyone else, like every other district. And I know that everybody's making the best choices they can. It's just good to know that there are some options. What's good for one kid is different, not, is
Well,
And
and
I-
I
for
and
another
I-
kid.
think too that our decision was not that I love the Melrose school system.
Right,
It's
right.
been great. We just needed to make a decision for him
Earlier. Yeah, sure.
earlier than what was
yeah.
being.
So I think later on we're going to have to get Dr. Kuchenberger on the show and find out.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder what the financial impact is. Like, as
Mhm.
kids make these choices, like you did and we did. How does the financing work and the state funding and how all that's going to happen? So I think we're going to have to do a little
I would
follow
love
up
to know
on
the
that
answer
because
to that, too.
yeah, because I think things are being sort of disrupted and reshaped a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
But it was really helpful, really. And good luck to Theo.
Zoom bomber.
And then there's this one. Hello, Zoom bomber.
Hi, Mom. I miss you.
We just make all kinds of things happen on this show. How are you, Cassandra?
I'm great. I'm
Where are
doing great.
you?
I'm in North
Cassandra's a veteran of the show, This
Yes,
is not
I
her
know.
first appearance.
I know.
I'm doing great. I'm in North Carolina right now. I'm at school. I'm in the house that I stay in when I'm here with my roommates, which is awesome. I'm in week 5 of hybrid classes
Mhm.
in getting my BFA, and that has actually been amazing. It's been a really, really great experience. So,
How are they running the classes down there? What do you when you say hybrid? Because
Yeah.
you're doing theater stuff,
You're in
right?
theater,
yeah,
so how do
I
you do
am.
that?
It's really interesting. It's different for each class and depends on the teacher and what we're doing. But one of my classes is called Demos. It's my acting class right now. I'm working with this teacher, Molly Maxner, and we do class outside. We do it 6 feet apart with masks on the whole time, and we're working on our play. And that's been an amazing experience. And I feel
Cool.
like I'm learning just as much as I would have been had we been in the studio together, if not more, because now there are less crutches as an actor that you can use because you have to have physical distance. You can't hide yourself in a lot of the ways that you used to. So it's actually been, for me, a really great way to open myself up more as an actor. And then,
Cassandra, some people say that this show has gotten better as we've gotten boxed into the corner of Zoom and all that. You watch every week. Would you agree with that assessment?
that's funny.
But you watched this week. How'd your mom do?
She didn't watch.
Amazing.
Oh, you
I
just
did
came in
watch.
just now, right? So amazing, Mom. I was latched onto every word.
No, she's so smart. I get it all from her. She's the best.
And how's the out and about in North Carolina? What's it like down there? Is it different than being at home in Massachusetts? I notice, around here, there's a lot of compliance with mask wearing and all that. If I go out of state, certain directions for a certain distance, it seems to change. How do things look in North Carolina?
It's definitely been a shift. I feel like when I'm at home and especially in Melrose, it's so good to see how many people are really being thoughtful and wearing their mask and remembering that it's about protecting the community and not just about yourself. And I definitely feel like here that is not the same. And even the signs that people have posted are very different about wearing masks. A lot of them are we're required by law for you to wear a mask. It's not my choice. It's
Got
not
it.
me.
Wow, interesting.
You're asking. And things that are just very, very different for me. So it's been kind of a little bit of culture shock just in the way that people talk about it too, because I just feel like the conversations that I was having when I was home about COVID are very different than the ones that it seems the community down here is talking about. But I think that's part of living in a different place, and it's exciting to get to be a part of this community and start.
What about the students? What about on campus?
Are about the masks on campus. Nobody is allowed to be on campus without a mask.
Yeah.
I feel all the action, for me at least, especially within my department and within my school, because everybody who's here wants to be able to do their art so badly and was kept away from it for so long, that we're really all about what are the protocols, what are the guidelines, let's follow them, because we don't want to have that taken away again, because this just feels so much better and more robust than it was before. I feel like I'm learning a lot again. I'm getting to be in class with my teachers again. It's a smaller group of us, and half of us Zoom and half of us are online. We're wearing masks, but I still feel like I'm getting the training that I wanted and that I'm paying for, and that I'm not having to lose out on part of my education just because we're in the middle of a pandemic, which is
So I was speaking to one of your former classmates, Mia Catalini, recently, and same thing at UVM. I mean, same thing at UVM. They're totally pulling it off. The
Yeah.
students are fully on board, and they just want to be there, and they're having so much fun. Like
Yeah.
rather than look at what you can't do, they're looking at what you can do,
Yeah.
and they're just having a
Exactly.
ball.
Yeah, I would say the same. My daughter's at UConn, same thing. She's like, we want to be here, and we'll do what we need to do to be able to kind of finish out our semester here. So
So, Cassandra, also, you were the inspiration for the research that your brother is now taking advantage of. And after
Yeah.
as this show airs, maybe thousands of Melrosians will be taking advantage of. So you should be proud of that.
you're an official influencer, not in the way you imagined.
Right. Yeah, that's what the kids say, right? Influencer.
Yes, but not like
I'd like to thank
this.
mom and dad.
All right. Speaking of influencer, I think it's time to dance it off.
Yeah.
And now we have a professional entertainer on the
Yeah.
panel tonight to help us out.
Do you have to do that? All right, let's go.
All right.
I'm ready for that move.
So, well, thanks for joining, everybody. Thank you, Tervalons, and to everybody in LTMM land.
Can't
Don't
wait.
forget to vote. Ranked choice
Yep.
voting
Ranked
on our
choice
link.
voting. Vote
And
for
we'll-
ranked choice voting.
And
Yeah.
we'll see you around town.
Can't wait to see you back in the 02176, Cassandra.